Ladies and gentlemen, this is Gail Morgan welcoming you to the Libertarian Counterpoint's Knuckleheads of Liberty podcast. You've heard their point, now listen to the counterpoint.
Welcome to the Knuckleheads of Liberty podcast. We are coming at you on July 14th, 2021. This is just about 6 months into this crazy Biden administration. So lots of stuff to talk about. But before we get to any of that, let me introduce you to our panel. In our upper left-hand corner, we have Leon, the word Brathwaite, last word in Liberty. He is a retired engineer in the state of California. In our upper right-hand corner, we have our screaming eagle of freedom, Tim Everett. He is a pilot in the state of California. My name is Jason McPhee, and I'll be your host today. So let's jump right into it. Kind of the news of the day is the uprising in Cuba. A lot of protesting going on there, and it's newsworthy, although it's not getting a huge amount of news. So that's one of the things we wanted to talk about. And oddly, the biggest promoters of some of these socialist type governments, Bernie and AOC and Squad, Michael Moore, nowhere to be found. As usual, they're all for this socialism until it all falls apart, and then it's
of course
somebody mismanaged it, as Jen Psaki said. Yes, it's just economic mismanagement. It's always funny. These are always mismanaged. I mean, what she doesn't understand is that it's socialism itself is economic mismanagement. Yeah. It always leads to central planning, which is the problem. So anyways, before we get, I guess we've got a lot to talk about this, but you guys want to jump into this, and maybe we'll get a few images while we're going too.
Well, there's no price signals, so of course it's going to get mismanaged. You have to have price signals, and you need personal property rights to be able to give a price on. So you have to price it because it's what it's worth to you to do it, or to make it, or to buy it. So they lack that. So there you have it. So, I don't know, Leon.
The funny thing about these idiots who try to tell us about all these do-gooders in government. Look at Jen Psaki's words. The problem she thinks that is going on in Cuba today is really and truly just the economic mismanagement by the government. And she never stopped to think for 1 second. What we are seeing on the streets of Havana is people trying to get their natural rights, where they can freely exercise their freedom in whether it's in the economic realm or in the political realm, wherever it is that they can freely do these things. Since 1959, I think it was New Year's Day 1959, Fidel Castro walked into Havana and have ruled that nation with an iron fist. He died, I think, in 2016, but prior to that, he had given over the reins to his brother, Raul Castro. And these people have ponged that nation into the ground. We always hear about all these wonderful things going on in Cuba. Oh, they have one of the greatest healthcare in the world and all this other nonsense. It's a lie. It's a damn lie. Okay? Freedom is the issue. Freedom is not economic mismanagement by the government. It is freedom of individuals that they don't have. That's why they're on the streets.
Well, what's funny too is that Cuba has held on relatively well, and you can almost take a snapshot in history of how long they've held on, because all of the cars and technology is a snapshot from that date, which is the 1950s. So it's it's sad. I mean, all these people have been sort of trapped in time unless they decided to take a dangerous journey on the ocean to get here to the United States. But but it's funny when you think about it, how long that country has managed to keep this kind of horrible system alive. Whereas, you look at how fast Venezuela is fading since they jumped all in on socialism. They started painting eyes of Hugo Chavez on the walls. And, he's watching your every move like 1984. It's like, does anybody read in any of these countries anymore? Things like Orwell or anything.
I don't
they're
think
doing
so.
this, and it doesn't even occur to them. That's like the low-tech version of the Chinese, surveying. They didn't have the technology to watch everything you're doing, so they just painted eyes of the government on it.
But the reason why Cuba ironically have been able to survive this long is because of the Cuban Americans in southern Florida, who have been supporting. Well, they support their family obviously, and that end up keeping whether through tax revenues or whatever, keeping the government alive. Also, Cuba also does something else. They also send doctors all over the world. I think they have about 30,000, 40,000 doctors outside of Cuba. And they are paid, and the government is paid for the services of these doctors, even though the doctors probably get very little. I'm sure they don't get anything near what a doctor will be worth here in the United States. But all of these things, the combination of the Cuban Americans in southern Florida, well, throughout the United States, I should say, but mostly in southern Florida, and some of the services that these doctors provide in other countries, which these countries do pay for, that have been able to keep Cuba on its feet to some extent. But that country is in a real mess right now. It really is in a mess, seriously. And now the Biden administration, Jen Psaki, but they're trying to tell us, well, it's really in response to COVID. Oh, please. Oh, we're crying out loud. That's response to COVID. That's what's causing it. That's nonsense.
Yeah. You probably know better than I, Leon. I have heard on documentaries about Cuba that in addition to their normal government mandated jobs that people have that they really don't do much of, they may punch a time clock or something, I'm not sure, but in addition to that, they all have black market jobs under the table.
Yes.
That they perform, and of course that doesn't solve the whole issue with trade, which they lack, but at least it gives them trade amongst themselves that is black market, but it's still it's their only form of free market there is the black market, right? Is that
definitely
true?
Definitely.
Okay, so that's one way to keep things going. You get a little extra income. You don't really do anything in your stupid government job. Maybe you show up and sweep a section of sidewalk or something. I'm not sure what they do, or you drive this government-owned taxi cab. But the rest of the time you're wheeling and dealing out of your taxi all kinds of other goods and services that you can do on the black market. So,
and in many cases, the government is aware of your black market jobs, and they allow it to continue because there's no other way for them to survive. Okay.
Yeah. So
they allow it to continue sometimes to probably to avoid some of the things that we're seeing right now in Havana right now. Okay, but sooner or later it's going to catch up with you. It's sooner or later, because as Margaret Thatcher said, that when you're in socialism and these socialist states and Marxist states, you always run out of other people's money. You always do, and you always end up in these conditions. There's a very interesting story about the Soviet Union. I think I've told this story before, but Mikhail Gorbachev told Margaret Thatcher that the Soviet Union produced enough grain to feed the people, but 1/3 of it rots before it gets to market, because just like you said, Tim, there are no price signals, so who the hell cares, right? They don't have to care about who whether it gets to market or not. There's no profiteering in it, so it rots.
Well, it's funny too with these black markets. It's both a blessing and a curse, because the black market is really people just trying to exchange with each other and do things that they normally do in a free market. The problem is that the government is so heavy-handed that not much is allowed, so that's why they do everything under the table. But the problem is then that causes everybody to essentially be engaged in a sort of a criminal activity with respect to the government. And so now everybody essentially has to fear the government because they could all be arrested at any time because they're all doing something. And that's, this is the thing, you look at Al Capone and Prohibition. We don't have those same mobsters running around shooting up the streets today over beer and wine. And the reason is because it was a black market because it was illegal back then, and then
Yes.
legalize it, and
Yes.
oh wow, all
Right.
those problems.
Yeah, I use that analogy a lot too. I say, so you don't have Maker's Mark going up against Jack Daniels for space on the shelves in Costco, right? Why is
Yes.
that? Why aren't there massive, shootings every day by members of the Maker's Mark corporation against Jack Daniels? Why is that, you freaking moron? Anyway.
Well, before we run out of time on this topic, let me just pull up some of the images too, because there's one or two things I also wanted to point out in the images. Can we get the visual up on this? Okay. I'm not seeing the visual. You guys
Okay.
seeing? Okay, there it is. So in this particular one, what I wanted to point out in this is that it's interesting because the protesters in Cuba are actually carrying, some of them carrying American flags.
Yes.
And this is sort of a debate that we're having in this country over people who, I guess, think America is the heart of all evil, and then people
Yes.
who want to get here and want to get out of actually evil places.
Yeah, really.
And we saw the same thing in Hong Kong while, that was being essentially, the liberty was being snuffed out there in China recently. And
Yes.
the protesters were showing American flags, hoping that would be sort of a uniting symbol, I guess, of liberty.
Sure.
So I just thought that was interesting. And this is being
here we are.
juxtaposed.
Well, what are we doing here? We're burning the American
Yes.
flag in America, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's on a pole upside down,
Exactly.
which would be appropriate for the
Yeah.
way they think. Yeah.
And it's so sad because you think about the conditions in this country and what life is really like comparing to a true hellhole, which is a
Yes.
socialist utopia, essentially.
Exactly. It's funny. Just recently, we had two good examples of this thing. There's this woman on MSNBC. She's one of their commentators, and she had made a visit to Long Island or somewhere around there. She's out of New York, but she had went to Long Island, and she had seen all of these American flags on these on the trucks of Trump supporters. And she found it so disturbing. Oh my God, it was so disturbing. Then we have this idiot, this woman who was running, I think she was having a tryout for the Olympics or something like that. And they was playing the national anthem, and she turned her back on the national anthem. So here we have in this country, we have Americans showing such disrespect to the flag and to our national anthem. But yet we have people, in other countries seeking freedom, seeking the exercise of their liberty, and they're using that symbol that we are disrespecting right here in this country. It is so ironic and amazing that this could be happening right now in our land.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to talk about that lady that turned her back to the flag, but help me out here. Are the Olympic Committee rules, do they forbid a person when some other country's national anthem is playing? Do they forbid the second and third place finishers to turn their backs on the flag and the national anthem, or are they required under Olympic rules to stand with a respect facing toward the flag of the country that won, irrespective of how they felt about the country? Do you know?
I think there's no prohibition about. There's no requirement to honor the flag of the nation or anything like that. I don't think so, to be honest.
Okay, so if communist China won an event, it would be totally okay for the Americans in second and third place to turn their backs, or whoever to turn their backs on it.
Yes, I believe it should be okay.
What if
you could imagine the outrage though in the media if an American did that
of the poor sportsmanship?
Yes.
Can they flip them? Can they flip the bird at the flag during the anthem of the winning nation? Can they do that according to Olympic rules? I mean, any kind of a gesture of disrespect. Can they do anything? I mean, what's off the table? What's on the table? You know,
I don't
that's
know.
what I'm. So you know, I'm circling around to this whole. You know, if you're gonna, I don't know, rules or no rules. If you're going to represent a country and you don't have the respect for that country, you know, maybe you ought not to be trying out. Maybe you ought to go do something else, like get into politics. There you go.
Or something.
Yeah, lots
Yes.
of you join the Democratic Party and become a spokesperson for you know, all the oppressed
Well, where
around
you
the
can
world.
burn the flag every day.
Yeah, with impunity,
Exactly.
and get accolades out the gazoo.
Yeah, but it's what's really disgusting too about this is that, you know, you see people going up there doing this on the podium, you know, to the American flag, which, you know, okay, it's flag, it's an idea, but, you know, at the same time, we're literally throwing people off the team who are the best in the world because they decided to put something in their own body. I mean, the idea that those discontinuity and thought is just crazy. As far as upside down rules. But anyway, I wanted to just briefly mention too that it's odd too because the Homeland Security Secretary, I guess, Mayorkas, who is, I believe, a Cuban, he is actually saying that, you know, these Cubans who were trying to get out of there and flee, you know, across the ocean for their lives to come to the United States, he's saying, you know, you can't come. And we've just been hearing for the last year or two, you know, how, you know, anybody coming from Mexico, hey, it's their right. They should get free health care, everything.
Yes.
And then, you know, these people who are trying to flee the central planning socialism that guys like Biden apparently like. Hey, you're not welcome here because, you know, you might vote the wrong way when you get here.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, I wonder what historically the Cuban vote is. Is it Republican or Democrat?
Heavily Republican.
And the heaviest part of that vote is in Florida, so that's one of the reasons why.
Yeah.
But just as a juxtaposition, here are pictures of immigrants coming from Mexico, all wearing Biden T-shirts.
Please let us
in. And of course, you know, Olay. You know, here you go.
I like how they're kneeling as good minions, good little law-obeying minions.
Yeah, we're ready to vote for you, Biden.
Yes. And their heads are bowed in reverent honor toward our great leader, Joe Biden, that can't string two coherent sentences together to save his life.
Yeah. That's right.
Oh, it's so upside down. But speaking of upside down stuff, I wanted to jump to the next topic before we lose time. In Washington, D.C., they actually have the Biden administration is trying to, we don't need the image for now. I guess we can pull that down. But the Biden administration is working to kill a school choice program that's actually worked well for poor kids in that area. And the Washington Post, oddly, is breaking ranks with the Democratic Party and the teachers' unions and the rest of the lefty media to say, hey, what's going on here? This is actually a good program. And I actually wanted to read their quote, what they posted in their editorial page, because I think it's pretty powerful. It says, on July 8th, the Post's editorial board wrote the following regarding this issue. So it's for 17 years, a federally funded K-12 scholarship program has given thousands of poor children in D.C. the opportunity to attend private schools and the chance to go on to college. And for many of those 17 years, the program has been in the crosshairs of unions and other opponents of private school vouchers. Their relentless efforts, unfortunately, may now finally succeed. House Democrats and the Biden administration quietly laying the groundwork to kill this worthy program. And that's the Washington Post. So, it's just an absolute crime in this country, the way teachers unions and the Democrat Party have essentially gone hand in hand to, at the expense of kids to ingratiate themselves, essentially, at this public trough. It is just absolutely disgusting. And thank goodness the Washington Post is actually sort of waking up to this and saying something about it. This is just horrific. Competition works in every other place in the markets. to give us the best goods.
Yes.
And the idea that we can't have it in education because, it's really all about the teachers, right? I mean, that's in, they vote Democrat. So there you go. But you guys have any thoughts about this?
I want you to remember something, okay? Most of the people, most of the kids benefiting from that program are Black or maybe Hispanic in some cases. But it's an amazing thing. The Democrats, who's supposed to love us, I mean, I talk about us, Black people, who's supposed to love us more than life itself? They are the people trying to kill this program. And you have to wonder why, okay? You have to wonder why. Since slavery, these people have been trying not to educate Black children in this country. I'm not joking about that. I know it sounds like a radical statement. I know it sounds conspiratorial, but go back and look at the history. During slavery, it was illegal to educate a slave who was Black. During Jim Crow, they stuck Blacks into the most awful schools you could imagine. And now, during the Great Society period, what are they doing now? They have them locked into some of the most awful schools that you could imagine. And where do you see these bright spots like in DC with this scholarship program? What are they trying to do? The Democratic Party with their allies in the teachers union are trying to kill the program. And they love us. Don't worry. They love us. They love Black people. And they're going to save us. God help us.
They love your vote anyway.
Yes.
Traditionally, voting Democrats. So that may be a starting point for Black people listening to this program. Maybe you ought to give your vote a consideration a little bit more deeply after Leon's good speech there. And it's that they know, especially after COVID, and people are wising up to this this horror that is the American school system, public school system. Yeah. That they're on the line right now, and they know it. And so if they can kill programs that, the horrors would actually give a choice, they're all, Democrats love choice when it comes to killing an unborn child. But
yes,
when it comes to a choice in where you're sending your kids to get an education, or in some cases an indoctrination, and they know that it's now the gig is up, and it's time that they have to get rid of any of this choice. This choice has got to be stamped out in education,
right,
for the teachers union to survive, because they know darn good and well that if things go the way they are, they're going to have less ranks, and there will be less of them. There'll be less money coming their way. And more people will choose the alternative, which is private education.
Indeed. And Tim, I love your statement there about how they love choice when it involves killing the unborn, but they hate choice when it involves the education of our children. This is a beautiful thing you just said, man.
They don't like choice when it comes to buying semi-automatic rifles either.
There you go. That's right.
I'm for free choice. That's what I'm for. When it comes to rifles, shotguns, handguns, even Lego handguns.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
The point is, though, that you don't even have to tell people, this doesn't have to be a Republican Democrat issue. It just has been because Democrats have been so in bed with the teachers union. But there was a brief period of time when that movie Waiting for Superman came out, and even President Obama had said a few things good about school choice back there early on. He first it came in, but they are so in bed with the teachers union that they are inextricably locked in a spiral to hell in this area. So this is something, if you're a Democrat and you just, hate the idea of voting either Libertarian or Republican, hold your own politicians accountable and vote for Democrats that push school choice. Don't settle for this. This is terrible. This is your children's futures at stake, and all of our children's.
Indeed.
Okay. Well, anyways, onward to our Knucklehead Noise Patrol. That is the portion of the show where we talk about something silly or odd in the let's see what happened there. That's somehow my image left. I put on the
audio.
But well, whatever.
It might be an improvement.
Yes, maybe Google is giving me some grooming.
That's right.
but anyways, for our Knucklehead Noise Patrol,
We are not seeing you, Jason.
Yeah, well, that's okay. We can just go on with the audio here.
Okay.
With our Knucklehead Noise Patrol, we wanted to talk about Macy Gray's call for the American flag as being too white. And so essentially, Macy Gray, she's a Grammy Award-winning singer. She had recently said that the flag was a replacement for the Confederate flag and a symbol, and she called for a symbol of opposition to the abolishment of slavery to be the flag, essentially. So, let me give you a quick image of Macy Gray. Can we pull up the image real quick? Just to, and this is Macy Gray. So just so you're aware of who we're talking about there.
Yes. Oh, wearing stars and stripes.
That's right.
Seriously.
Exactly.
Now there's a little hypocrisy right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. If the flag is so damn poisonous to her, so damn bad, why is she wearing images of it?
Exactly.
Why?
Exactly. What's going on there?
This is sickness.
Yeah. Oh, she's at a pirate fair. How about that? It looks like those are blasts. But anyway.
But this thing goes back to what we were speaking about earlier. That there are people in foreign lands using the American flag as a symbol of liberty and freedom, as they seek their own freedom and they seek their own liberties, their liberties that are given to them by God, whether they believe in God or not. But here we have people in this country, people like Macy Gray and people like some of these other people, trying to tell us there's something wrong with the flag. And I wonder what it is they want to replace it. What it is they want. Oh, we're gonna find something new and wonderful to replace this flag. What it is exactly they're talking about here? God, I just don't get it with these people.
I don't think anybody really cares. I saw her recently in concert with, I was there for the great Chaka Khan, and who put on a great show, but Macy's show was none too good. And I don't know who listens to her anyway. So there you have it. But
well, some people do, because she's a Grammy winner, so that means she must have gone platinum or something with one of her songs, or few of her songs or something.
Yeah, but, the B-52s had a good one with the Love Shack. So once in a while you hit one out of the park, but one time doesn't quite make it.
Yes. So she did hit one out of the park, I guess.
Apparently, yeah.
Dear God.
She has a great backup singer, though, a young gal that was excellent. So we'll see more from her, hopefully.
But I really wish these people would just shut up. Quite frankly, these people. I don't know why these celebrities think just because they have a little bit of skill with their music and everything else, and they could put it out, and some of us listen to it fine and that kind of stuff. But why do they think they have become experts in anything, whether it's politics, whether it's some social issue? And they always think they have to spout off on these things. And 99% of the time is a bunch of crap coming out of their lips. Well, more crap than they could imagine.
Macy Gray could always go to Cuba, I guess, if she wants to honor a different flag. But that's about all the time we have at our show today. So thank you all so much for joining us. And stay free. We'll hope to see you at the next one.
Indeed. Bye.
Yeah, looks like we had a comment. I don't know. I guess Gail can cut the show here, but do we want to answer the comment here?
Yeah, you had a comment about the Cuban issue. Yeah, we'll cut the show. We'll cut the show. This is for the Just Podcast. They had a comment about the Cuba when you were talking about Cuba.
Oh yeah, that's probably a good point there. I'm sure that's another reason why, in spite of their economic conditions, they've been able to survive. Not because of them, but in spite of them.
And for the podcast viewers, for the podcast listeners, the comment is, they have kept the system alive from Joseph Fleming. They have kept the system alive because of foreigners that go there for vacation, supporting the oppressive system on the people. So his point is that foreigners who visit and pump money into the system are helping keeping the system alive.
Yep.
That's
That's what
valid
works
point,
for
just like Tim
Hawaii
said.
too, by the way.
No,
right.
it's a valid point. It's a valid point. I think Cuba has a few external sources. I mentioned a couple in during the show, and I think this is also one of them, that people go there on vacation, and I'm told they have some very nice vacation spots. I've never been there, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
but that's another source that they have to keep the Marxist socialist nonsense alive, really and truly. Yes.
All right. And for that, we will see you guys on the next show.
And thank you for your comment. Thank you for your comment.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Okay.